everybody, it's your girl PJamma, and with PJamma Life, and we are back today to talk about WandaVision, episode 5, a very special episode. So with me today are my buddies, Marvel Superfan Pat. Tell the people what you're thinking.
I try not to think it. I think it hurts my head.
And our Star Wars superfan, David. Tell the people hello.
Hola, mi amigos. What a great night to be talking about nostalgia TV.
Yes. And I mean, it was snowy across most of the country. So what else did you have to do but watch a good episode, a really good episode of WandaVision? So why don't we take a look at some highlights and then we'll get in and chop it up.
Where is Geraldine?
She's gone.
We now know she is the principal victimizer.
Wanda's not a terrorist.
By your own account, you described the experience of being under her mind control as excruciating, terrifying, a violation.
I don't believe she has a political agenda or any inclination toward destruction.
So you're telling me this is a typewriter, a Rolodex, and a calendar all in one? What else can it do? Find me a wife?
Eventually, yes.
None of it is real. You have to stop her.
Stop who?
She's in my head. None of it is my own. It hurts. It hurts so much. Just make her stop. Do you want me to take that again? Should we just take it from the top?
Hey, what's the trouble, little dudes?
We can't find your dog.
Ah, don't worry, he's sure to turn up. Your mom won't let him get far. Ma'am?
All of this is for us, so let me handle it.
What is outside of Westview?
This will be your only warning. Stay out of my home.
OMG! I mean, it's some happenings going on in Westview, and now we get this is the first episode where they've combined both worlds. So they've combined the sitcom world and the real world. So that was really important. To now, the series is starting to expand itself to tell you what's happening. And this was a really revealing. I thought last week's was revealing, but this one was really revealing. So I'll let you guys talk about it, and then I'll come in and talk about the Easter eggs that I saw. But why don't we have Pat, why don't you talk about the episode and then maybe some correlations to some of the comics if there are any.
Okay, first off, if any of y'all are watching this and don't want to hear spoilers, you're in the wrong place.
Yeah,
so we're going to talk about all that stuff.
Spoilers.
just going to give everybody a heads up because I'm going to talk about things. Okay, the big thing that happened, the monster thing, was the appearance of Evan Peters, who in the X-Men movies
you went right to the last.
No. I got a theory. Now hold on.
Okay.
Now I know you hate time travel. This ain't time travel. This is not time travel. This is
not time travel.
This is multiple dimensions. That's what this is. Alternate realities. And just like, okay, since we're in the sitcom theme, remember, what sitcom had a major character go away and come back as somebody and then come back as that other person again? Roseanne, right? Remember, we had Becky, then we had second Becky, and then we had the original Becky come back again to finish out the series. Here we are. We have Evan Peters, who played the original Pietro in the X-Men movies chronologically to release dates. You had him, and he was great as Pietro, Pietro Maximoff. And then you get I'm drawing a blank on the character because it was so forgettable.
Aaron Taylor Johnson, I think.
Okay. He came in, played Pietro in Avengers.
Yep.
Died, but now we're retconning it back, and we're going to bring back original Becky to be in this, and it really works into the entire sitcom theme. It's genius. I mean, it's really good, and Evan Peters, I just love his act. I mean, everything he did in American Horror Story, so good. You know, I was just so happy to see him. I mean, just aside from the things that we got seeing on there. Now, everybody did know it's a commercial, right?
Yes. Yes.
For the paper towel. Lagos paper towel. What is Lagos? It's a city in Nigeria where Wanda blew up a bunch of people. So maybe this is part of her
accidentally
her trauma.
Yeah.
Trying to work its way out. Yeah. Other thing that really the clip you showed something that I caught on to right away that I thought was okay. Thanos rips the Mind Stone out of Vision's head, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Mind Stone was yellow.
Yeah.
And had yellow power type of attributes. Yeah. What colors were the little bits of power that he used on the computer and on that guy's head? Yellow. It's like he still got the Mind Stone somehow, or he still has access to the Mind Stone's power. Mm-hmm. So this may be something in an alternate reality where he gets the Mind Stone back. He gets to come back to life. He gets to live his life with Wanda and do their thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lot of other really cool stuff. I mean, just overall, the whole episode was wonderful. I mean, I you know, if you haven't seen it, you need to watch it.
Right? Yeah. How about you, David?
Oh, I thought it was brilliant. I love how they have taken you from, again, starting with in the first episodes in the black and white sitcoms. They finally started to take us into what we might call the real world. Now, like you said, Pam, we've melded them together. All of these pieces. And you see Vision's awareness of things going on, and now he's challenging Wanda about this. Mm-hmm. You're seeing the pain that clearly some of these the citizens of Westview, they're in with this, the anxiety. There is so much here. And children, she's, you know, we saw the age. You talk about it's not like time. I know, you know, time travel, not going back, but we got some massive aging thing going on here. It was just amazing. And you don't really know exactly where we're going, but it's just incredible to watch this. And for me, really the first time, the nostalgia of the old sitcoms really took a backseat to the characters going here. Love, and I do want to know what is going on with the neighbor. When she said, let's take it from the top, as if they were doing a dress rehearsal. Where, you know, that says to me that maybe she's got more of an awareness of this world than maybe the others do. I'm thinking maybe. Yeah. And where is she? Is she maybe pulling the puppet strings? I don't know. I mean, I'm keeping thinking that maybe Wanda is not just a protagonist with some, you know, who's being, you know, dealing with her trauma and hurting people in a way. I'm wondering if she's also a bit of a victim in this right now and being controlled. I can't wait to see what's going to happen. But
and I think it was real telling that when you talk about her not realizing, she says, I don't know how any of this started. So that was a real key, I think, takeaway from it. And as well, I think that I think there's an important movie, if you go back and look at, not an Avengers movie, but there was a movie a few years ago called Annihilation, what has to deal with depression and grief, but they escaped it in this whole world. And this reminds me very much of that, of someone who's dealing with trauma, then creating a whole nother world in order to not deal or to suppress trauma. And so Wanda in this episode, you could see all of this. And even Monica, when she says that it was an oppressive feeling, it was heavy. it felt like grief. And so I was like, there we are hearing about Wanda's real trauma, and that there were just a lot of clues in this episode, a lot of clues. But the sitcom kind of parallels were hilarious because, so if you notice, this was a callback to what sitcom?
Family Ties.
Family Ties,
Yeah,
where
right.
one season it was a baby, and then the next season they were like 5 years old. How sitcoms have kind of done that from the 80s on. They get, or like what was that one with Steve Urkel? What was that one?
Family Matters?
Family Matters.
Family
When
Matters.
the youngest daughter walked up the stairs and then you never saw her again. And nobody ever mentioned it again. I mean, sitcoms have had a way of kind of doing weird things with characters, or the Aunt Viv one season and then a whole other Aunt Viv the second season. And
The Darrens. We had two different Darrens on
The Beckys.
The Becky's, the Darrens on. So that was real interesting. But I was reading something that was very interesting about the commercials. So each commercial could have to do with one of the Infinity Stones. So you have the first commercial, which is the toaster and the power. The second one was about the watch and time. The third one was about the I forget which
Was
one.
it bath salts?
It was
Right.
it was
The
in
Calgon takeoff.
one. And this one is about the reality stone. So we'll get the next commercial may have to do with the mind stone, because that'll take care of which the space stone. Because she was talking about when you want your own space, you want to get away, here's Hydra soap or Hydra, whatever that was. So, yeah. So each of those commercials also have to do with the stones. I thought that was really interesting.
So many layers.
Yeah. And I thought one of two of the most interesting, one funny and one like kind of true, was when Jim, what was his name? The boss, the director, was asking Jimmy Woo, so what's her code name? She doesn't have a funny nickname.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of funny, a callback to, in the Fox version, she was Scarlet Witch, but in the Avengers, she was just Wanda Maximoff, which was probably, a deal they had to work out, when they had it. But now, since Disney has all of the properties,
Yes.
what I thought was really great was that now they're combining the two properties together. So now we'll get this character, Evan Peters, as Pietro, who was
Quicksilver.
Quicksilver. He's the better one anyway. But did you also catch Monica say, I know an aerospace engineer, which to me means that they might bring in, who's a great aerospace engineer? That was a Fox property. Now could be in Disney.
Oh.
Fantastic.
Mr. Fantastic?
We can bring in Mr. Fantastic. Reed Richards.
Yeah, Reed Richards. I think that could be the intro to get that one into the universe. So I'm hoping that they can then bring, because that would mean hopefully that Storm would make her way in.
Well, I'm curious if they're going to have to recast all the X-Men because they're all too damn old.
Right.
I mean, Hugh Jackman rocked it for years, but I mean, the guy can't shred himself the way he used to. He's not in his 30s.
But I don't know how they would recast him. I mean, Hugh Jackman was
owned it.
Wolverine.
He
So
owned that thing.
I don't know. But in the comics, he came back from literally being destroyed completely. And
him and Deadpool come back about every other year. Hell,
So
Deadpool regenerated from his head. So,
yeah. I mean, that was really insane to
well,
me.
I hear they're going to work Deadpool into the MCU.
Right.
So, but they're still in negotiations on how to try to make him family-ish friendly.
Yeah.
Not just the R rating, which, I mean, I read the books. Yeah, it's an R rating, man. Just saying.
And
Yeah.
I mean, he's not a main character, he's kind of a side character. So just let him stay the way he is and just maybe have him pop in like he did before in the terrible, well, it wasn't terrible, but the Wolverine movie.
Oh,
and
God, let's not talk about that. He even made fun of it in the movies.
He even killed himself in that movie in Deadpool. That was funny.
And Green Lantern. He really did like Green
I
Lantern.
don't care
And
what
Green Lantern.
nobody says. I love Green Lantern.
You're wrong. Anyway,
I love the message. I thought it was very positive. I thought
it was fine.
he
It was
looked
fine.
like
I don't have any real skin in that game. It's a DC property. I'm aware of it. Yeah, it was okay. It was just, I thought it was a weak overall movie. The villain was terrible. I mean, the thing, they set it up for a good second movie against Sinestro.
Yeah.
But
I thought
the first movie was so goddamn bad, no one's going to watch it.
It was so bad, but so good at the
so
same
good.
time.
It's like
I love it.
scratching a mosquito
I
bite.
absolutely love it.
It's a mosquito bite.
It feels great, but it's bad. But you love it scratching it.
And it's so poorly put together. The editing is so bad. And it's hey, do we have any dialogue? No, let's just watch Top Gun. And just stick that in there during the pilot scenes.
But I loved
made
it
no
though.
sense.
I
But
know.
I loved it. I
don't care. People
But it
can
was
trash
terrible.
it. I don't care. It's still great. But another thing I thought good to get back to WandaVision is that there's a couple of questions about those kids, because did they age themselves? And Wanda can't control them the way she is able to control everything else. So I think that's a really big point. And if we go back a few episodes, remember the townspeople all saying for the children. So I think this is also some way that maybe Hydra is trying to get another set of twins in order to control and use for their power. So that's why I think in the commercials you keep seeing Hydra, because I think Wanda subconsciously might be trying to say something about it, just like in the when Vision was with Norm. Why did the message come through about the Maximoff anomaly? If she was, I think she's subconsciously allowing things in to try to hint that something's going on.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, okay, Wanda exited the entire simulation in this episode, conscious, full-on Sokovian accent.
Yes.
Control of her powers just like a regular Avenger, and then went back in. So that I wonder how much is she being controlled, or is she in control?
I think that's the mystery, is because something she knows, but something she doesn't.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if when she's in, she has less control than what she thinks she does. But let me have a shout out here. We got our all the way through crew. We got Tim Windsor. Hey, Tim, good to see you. And Electric Melanin is in there. Hey, Electric Melanin. And also JJ La Jefferson. Hey, how are you? So yeah, we're glad to see people showing up, and looks like they are talking about the episode, which is great.
Yep.
And but yeah, I think that there are still, I mean, this is what's interesting about this whole series, is every week you get something big to chew on and to think about next week. I know maybe, young people are so used to the Netflix kind of rollout of everything at once, but we all grew up with cereals. So not like, well, we grew up with Pop-Tart. I mean, like
Count Chocula.
Little Fruit Loops. Gotta have your Fruit
Frosted
Loops.
Flakes and all that stuff.
Oh, Apple Jacks.
Real life shows where each week you had to wait. There was no and you couldn't go back if you missed it. That week you missed it.
This is like the Dallas rollout. Remember when Who Shot JR? That stuff consumed the public for months until they finally included in.
I mean, hundreds of millions of people would watch a TV show back in the day.
Right.
And so,
oh my God, you sound so old, Pam. Stop it.
Huh?
You sound old when you say it like that. Back in the day, we watched TV.
No, but I'm just saying that, when we had to watch shows, you had to watch them and be present because if you missed it, you missed it. And then next week, you just had to ask people, what happened? I missed it. I was out. Da, da, da.
And there were only really 3 stations. There were only 3 networks.
Now we're really aging up.
You had Fox. You had 3 networks, and everybody watched all the same thing.
Yep, and it went off. I mean, TV shut off, and then that was it.
Yeah, like midnight didn't start up again until 5 next morning.
Yep. For the U.S. Farm Report.
Or cartoons if you were on like the independent station. You can watch Speed Racer and Ultraman.
Maybe some Merv Griffin.
But
the Farm Report at like 5:30. I loved it. It opened up with the national anthem and this montage of American history that kind of like stopped like right around the moon landing. And it was great. These old guys, they tell you the weather and then the hog reports. And
the corn futures and
the corn futures.
Off to school we went. Oh man, I loved it.
Kids today with 900 channels and a whole network devoted to just cartoons, like 2 or 3 of them. Y'all are so lucky. We had Saturday morning from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. of cartoons, and that was it. And then maybe after school you can watch some cartoons. So and shows like this, like Super Friends and all the different shows, Captain America, Captain Planet, and
Speed Racer, Ultraman, Johnny Sacco and his giant robot. Oh man,
Speed Racer and Superman and Batman, and I mean just tons of classic TV. So
Bugs Bunny cartoons. Oh
my God! So this harkens back to some of those experiences that the generation. What are we? X generation? Yeah, we call it X generation because we like X-Men.
We're X-Men.
Yeah. So, but yeah, this show is really revealing. But I also really like, and tell me all what you think, how it's delving into mental health issues, which are very current today. Talking about grief, talking about trauma, talking about maybe suppressing your emotions to just function. And I think now, did you all catch that about Monica Rambeau when they brought up Captain Marvel? And she was like, we're not talking about her right now. And we're doing something else. Tell me what you all thought of that.
It was almost as if there was some kind of negative backstory there, that there had a bit of a falling out or something along those lines. Was my take. Pat, what about you, man?
I just wonder if it was tension because Captain Marvel disappeared after the blockbuster incidents, in Captain Marvel movie until she reappeared in Avengers Endgame. Well, at the very end of Infinity War, however you want to look at it. So she was gone throughout the majority of her Monica's mother's life, and that was her friend. They were super tight, and she felt like, Carol left her mother and just went off to go do her superhero life. I don't know where that came from.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was a forced moment where they had to do something because they didn't want to bring Captain Marvel into this, or they're trying to give you the head fake, make you think nothing's happening, and Captain Marvel does show up at the end of it. Personally, I think it's going to be Doctor Strange, but that's just me.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to how they're going to integrate, because there was a little reveal. I think that one of the characters had done in the interview and said there was going to be, a Luke Skywalker moment in the show. And I was excited because I was like, oh, shoot. Here's where Doctor Strange comes in to make that connection to the movie. But, oh, no.
Well, maybe.
Dwayne DeMarcos has a good point. Could Captain Marvel have caused her mother's cancer? Maybe exposure to that energy.
Well, Monica not being able to say goodbye to her mother. I mean, there was so much going on in that episode. When we saw her come back to life, there at those, and everybody's popping up, and she didn't have a chance to say goodbye to her. I mean, that was a really powerful, quick moment. But there's a lot there. That Dwayne might be right. I think Pat's reference there, I think it could also be on track. But it shows the depth here. And what we've learned, I think, Mandalorian's certainly true, and I think this is maybe even more so, is there's no just throwaway lines. There's just no little gestures that doesn't have some kind of backstory or another layer to the onion. You've really got to watch. I've got to ask you this, because this was a very powerful moment for me. We were talking before the show started about my dog that I happened to lose back in July. So this moment kind of grabbed me as any kind of these. But what about the death of the dog with the neighbor? What is that? What do you guys think about that? What was that? That was a very powerful, that's the first time we've really seen death there in Westview. And I mean, what do you think's going on there?
I really don't know. That may be that's one of those things that was just so open-ended. Was it Wanda trying to teach the kids about death? Because maybe she's starting to come to grips with death, which means coming to grips with vision, perhaps. Or, I don't know. They do this so well in this series where they throw you something. There could be 3,000 possible, lines of divergence from it where the story could be going. And then you're going to have to wait, like we've been talking about, until next week to figure out where that line's going, because you don't know.
And I can be wrong, but I really do think with the neighbor kind of being quasi-responsible for the dog's death. I mean, obviously Wanda let the dog out, but it died on her property. I think there's something there with that. I think it's the neighbor. Pam, what are you thinking on that?
Yeah, because I think it's interesting that Agnes is both a protagonist and an antagonist, I think, because she is kind of part of a Greek chorus, right? She's calling out and like breaking the fourth wall all the time. So she's, with her and Herb talking over the fence. Then she remember at the beginning, she said, "Oh, how's our little star of the show?" So she's always been aware of what's going on.
Right.
And maybe she's trying to test Wanda's powers. How far will Wanda go? And so will she resurrect the dog? And the kids too were a part of that, I think, of testing Wanda to see how far will Wanda go. Will she violate her own rules? And either subconsciously or consciously she is, because remember the big fight between those two, between Vision and Wanda, began because Wanda's now kind of like, "Oh, I'll do what I want," and he's like, "Wait a minute, we agreed, to keep it silent." And then when he said, "You can't control me the way you could control other people," and she was like, "Can I?" I was like, "Ooh,
yeah,
that was so harsh and brutal." but also the fight they had when they were in the air.
That was cool.
Sometimes I wanna lift up and still fight like that. So that would be awesome when you're angry to just lift up and be like, I said this, you said that. But I think though that it's especially in a show about grief and loss, what if you could in your grief bring somebody back, even against their own wishes? Yeah. What is the ethics and morals around that? Because when the director said that bringing him back was against his own wishes, I was like, oh wow, that's pretty deep. So and Pietro coming back, she didn't know he was coming back. So it kind of leads me to wonder, did she do it? Did the kid do it? Or is it something else going on?
How did she recognize the new improved version of Pietro? Because it's definitely a new and improved version. Evan Peters, total step up. But I'm just like, okay, so she recognized him, but it's an alternate reality. I swear to God. Mark my words, write it down. You watch. It's going to be an alternate reality. And they're going to work it into the multiverse of madness. This is a tie-in for the next Doctor Strange movie.
Well, and I think that would tie in too. Now correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not familiar with this comic, but they've also talked about Jonathan Majors coming in as Kane and Ant-Man. He's going to be the new big villain, I think, in the properties. And so does that mean that the next arc of movies is going to be about time travel and multiverses and interdimensional stuff, so that it's all kind of changed from just a straight baddie to now these people trying to change the course of reality or history or time or space?
It very well could be. Kang is like there's a couple really big villains that they don't deal with so far. We don't see a Galacticus, we don't see a Kang the Conqueror, we don't see the Molecule Man, who basically can rewrite reality because of his powers. I mean, there's some really big villains they haven't really touched, and some of them were ethically, conflicted. Galactus did what he did because he had to survive. It was a survival instinct to eat planets, which happen to have dudes on it. Details. Kang was pretty much a real baddie. He was just kind of a fascist overlord type of thing who was able to travel through time.
I mean, that's not good.
He also did the interdimensional stuff, which you can see where we could maybe be kicking off this whole new story arc, this overarching story arc, by going in, with the multiverse of madness. We're going to really kind of introduce the whole idea of there's alternate Doctor Stranges, there's alternate Quicksilvers, so that we can maybe start trying to integrate some of this stuff and get that going. And then we get the Kang kind of working through all these different dimensions and different realities. I mean, it could be the beginning of it.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be very, well, you know how I feel about time travel, people.
Well, it's a big deal. It's a big story.
The lines between time and space. So we're gonna see what it's going to be about, and I hope it's going to be something good. So, well, that about should wrap it up. We got any final words? I know one thing we haven't talked about. It's the Chiefs. The Chiefs tomorrow in the Super Bowl. So if you out there and you're not a Chief, I don't know what's wrong with you. So
are we doing predictions? Are we doing predictions, Pam?
Chiefs 100%.
100%. Any score though?
Let's see. 32-28.
32-28 Chiefs. Pat, what about you?
Chiefs by 7. I'm not going to put the number on it, but the Chiefs by 7.
All right.
Yeah, okay, me too. I don't know.
I don't think it's going to be a field goal. It's going to be a touchdown.
Bucks, I'm going with Tom Brady.
Oh,
he's had such a horrible, tragic life.
That
He
Streeter.
never catches a break.
The only reason I would endorse that pick is because it is at Tampa Bay, and he's had plenty of time to get everything cheated up the way he normally does.
That's it right there. That's what I'm talking about. That big cheater doesn't deserve to win.
Maybe underinflate the balls and do all that other stuff that he normally did.
Yeah. Ugh, he's the worst. That's why I would otherwise, I have a best friend who's in Florida, and I would love to root for both teams, but because he is now on there, forget it. I hope that the Chiefs annihilate the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I hope it's embarrassing, and
it won't be, but still, I'm just saying.
Even better, I hope it's by like 1 or 2 or something. Something just.
Well, I want to do like the 49ers did and get out way ahead and then start posing in the end zone and like one moment, please. Yeah, we'll win anyway.
Yep. Don't turn your back on the Chiefs. That's all I have to say.
Nope.
Arg, I think the Bucs are going to do it. I know nothing about it. I couldn't tell you of anybody outside of Tom Brady on anybody's team, but I'm going to say the Bucs 35-28.
Oh, please. Okay.
We'll
All
see
right.
what happens. We'll start it out there.
We'll see. Next week, if David is right, he won't be on the show.
Oh! Ouch.
Boot.
I'm out of here. Well, it was nice talking with everybody.
Yeah,
Thanks for stopping by, Dave.
But that's all we have.
Room, man. You got to read the room.
Any final last words? Just please, people, wear your mask. If you can get the vaccine, please get the vaccine. If you wash your hands and please social distance, even though, we can have the same kind of just Zoom party, your Super Bowl party.
Yep.
So we don't have it more. Yeah. So please, people, we got to get back to being together. So we will see you all next week. And go Chiefs. So take care. Have a great week. Bye.